There is a thin divide between what is perceived as spiritual and paranormal, for they are forever entwined throughout time. Traveling within the history of the world, we can find examples of spirituality that involves everything from magic, spirits, gods and goddesses, and seers, or people said to be able to talk to the dead. We all have our belief systems and we all have our own truths. So come sit with Holly Jenkins and myself as we talk about all that and more. Welcome to Spiritually Paranormal. Ooh.
Hola. I sound like a frog today. I sound like I've been smoking 2 packs a day for my whole life.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You probably could go on and use your voiceover for some movie and be
Yeah.
the sexy operator.
Yeah. But look what came in the other day. Whoa. Look how thick this book is. This is my 268 page book.
Now, what age is it? Well, not yeah. It's more for your age of your grandkids.
Anywhere from 5 and up. And
Okay.
even for adults, really, because it's got 111 birds, and I chose the most common birds for each country. I chose 8 countries. There's the U.S., Canada, the U.K., Russia, because it's one of the largest, China, India, and Brazil, and Australia. Those are the largest ones, except for the U.K., because UK is English speaking, so I chose them as well. So the bear travels all over to those countries. Hello.
What makes you the French king?
Yeah. What can I do for you? Are you cleaning the windows?
Yeah, this one we can this
Okay. Yeah, that one and those two. Yep.
Real life, whatever. Real life.
Right, exactly. Anyway, so I chose the most common birds for each country because that way kids from anywhere could actually see those birds in real life. I didn't want any, odd or rare birds. I wanted the most common so it'd be easy for them to spot.
Right.
And some of those birds in the back, I have the list of all the birds and the countries you can find them in, because some of them, just because they originate in, say, Brazil, we get some of those, like the hummingbirds and things like that. So you can go through the back of the book and mark off the birds, take off the birds that you spotted.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
yeah, and it not only tells you like their habitat, but it also gives you like a did you know, and it's the spiritual aspect of each bird as well. So it's a little bit more information and understanding of the bird world.
Yeah, I
Anyway.
went over with Taylor's and Dave's godchild was here this last weekend, and I showed him the book that you had sent me with the bear and the raven cloak, with the clovers and stuff, and he really liked it. And I asked him, I said, he's going to be 3 in June, but he had eye issues when he was born. He actually, his eyes weren't working right. So they just did surgery end of last year on him. So he's wearing glasses now and he's picking things up. Like he walked into my living room and he looked up at the wall and he's behind with speaking, but he's also catching up. And he looked up at the painting. He goes, Daddy, what? Look, it's a bear. And I started laughing my butt off because actually he knew it better than some of the adults looking at it. Were like,
Yeah.
like, is it a bear and a buffalo? Yeah, it is. So he looked at that, and I asked her, and she said, "Well, I want to wait a little bit longer to give him books because he tears them."
Yeah. Until they get at least 4, you can't really give a little baby a book. You can read it to them, but you can't just let them have them because they will rip the pages out.
But you've got, on the other hand, Taylor's godmother has a great niece now, and she's a little over 1, and she loves books. And they read to her every day, and they sit there, and she points things out, and she says, "Oh yeah, it's dog," or it's her favorite thing. This was so funny. Was a Morwal. or yeah, that's what,
Yeah.
the unicorns of the sea. And Julie says to me, yeah, she says, what is that? And I said, it's the unicorn of the oceans. And
Yeah.
she said, I have never heard of it. I go, well, she says, I figured you'd know. I said, well, it's a creature. It's an amazing creature. And it's actually
Yeah.
rare to find them or see them a lot. And so kids are smart. It just depends, where they fall in. But
And so I've just released today, came available the 70-page travel I Spy book. And this is an activity book for keeping the kids busy if you're running around town or if you're on a road trip. It's got so many different things for them to spy and to count. And then it's got some puzzles and some mazes and some tracing things and coloring pages as well, but 70 pages. And the other one, I just submitted it yesterday. It should be available tomorrow or Thursday, but it's a nature book and it's got all the different caterpillars and butterflies and moths and all the other bugs and stuff in it as well.
Well, yeah, and this is a lot of work. I don't know if people realize it, and I actually haven't updated anything yet on mine. Holly's helping me. What I'm doing is writing it all in Word right now. I'm pulling it.
I went and looked at it today to see if you'd done anything. I was like, what? Where is the info?
No, I've been sitting writing. Tell her, Pip. I've been sitting writing, and I realized that I only had, out of all the cards, I only had about 7 or 8 actual channels when I wrote for them. So it takes a while to do it, and it's not going to be a big deal. The pictures are all there, but I also have other stuff. So Holly's been gracious enough. Hi, Joyce. Hi, Kay. To help me edit it when I get it done, because I just can't. It's a lot of work. Number one,
it is a lot of work.
I can't sit. I sat the other day after we talked and I uploaded stuff.
There's some days I sit here for 8 hours straight with it. I get up to go pee and that's about it. I don't stop.
I can't do that. My legs actually won't function properly.
I pay for it later. I guarantee I pay for it later. I get up, hunched back, walking like an old lady trying to get up.
I got out of the chair the other day and an image popped in my mind and I heard, yeah, now you see. And it was my mom, because that's what she did when she was in her 80s. She'd get up and come into, for meals, and she'd do her laundry and, that kind of stuff. But otherwise, pretty much she was sitting all day, maybe doing crosswords, watching some TV, falling asleep in the chair with the cat. But she'd get up and and I was doing the same thing. And I literally heard her laughing at me. And it's like, yeah, I know, Mom, I'm sorry, but.
I did another book yesterday and submitted it yesterday, but it's a coloring book, so it was easy. But the coloring book I think this one is 40 pages. It's called Wild Wonders, and it's all nature stuff. And it is for kids, teens, and adults because it's various different levels of coloring. But I tell you what, I love the coloring books as well. I love them. I love them.
Well, I got something new too for everybody to see. I finally got, and I can't believe it took a lot of work for this too. My deck is finally available for pre-sale. I just got the proof back from the printers. And the box is tin, which, oh my God, I can't even tell you what a difference that is.
You know what I put my cards in? You're going to laugh. These.
Yeah, but I mean, I like having them in
I wish they made a large box that could separate all of our different cards. So if you had multiple sets of cards, you do, but you could all put them in that one thing and have the tins and all of those, or the packs and all of those. I love those. I love the tin.
Cardboard, but the tin it took it to another level.
And because it's going to last a long time. The cardboard boxes, they do not last. That's why I put mine in those bags, because the cardboard wears out after a few uses.
Right. Well, this is some of the cards, and these are the true colors that came out on them. And
they're beautiful.
I was just blown away, to be honest with you. And I did work with them for a long time, and they were like at night I was sleeping, they were awake, and vice versa. So it took about a month and a half, but they made sure it was perfect.
Yeah,
And
they're beautiful.
I just appreciate it so much. So yeah, those are available over on my website as well. And the book will be out when the book is out, which will probably be. I've got people pre-ordering the cards right now. So by the time I get the cards to send them out, the book will be ready. I'm pretty sure, unless I.
Yeah. It doesn't take long when you're self-publishing. The coloring books, they take the whole 3 days. It can take up to 72 hours once you submit. The coloring books take a whole 72 hours, the whole 3 days. And I don't know if they're really checking every image or what they're doing, why those take so long. But if a regular book like that, it'll be ready the next day. It'll be available the next day.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'm excited about it, but that's cool. And I'm not as fast as you. I'm older than you, so
Well, I just have a lot. I would lose my mind. I go back to 20 at the end of 2020 when Remax closed, and I went to the mortgage side. I was sitting over there in an office. Well, even in 2020, at the beginning of 2020, I was in an office upstairs away from my main office. There was no one in there, by myself, isolated, when I'm used to being around 300 agents. Then I went to the mortgage company and no one ever came in. I was the only one in the office every day. And then I got this job and I rarely see anyone. But the other job, there was a lot to do throughout the day to keep me very busy. This one, not so much. Especially,
okay.
I'm used to dealing with 300 agents a day, and now I have 9. So
Yeah.
I've got like so much time on my hands that I'm like, I would lose my mind if I didn't have these books. I would be
Well,
like,
well, and it gives you the opportunity to do it, which is great.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
have that excuse either.
I think
but
everything for a reason, right?
yeah, well, I'll tell you another thing, everybody. Hello, and everybody that's watching. I actually had thought about this yesterday, and you see, I have my hair pulled back, and it looks like I've lost all this, but what it is it's gray and like almost black that it's coming in. So it's. I mean, a lot of people women get their hair, they like it like that, and I don't have a problem with that, but I don't have any. It's really thin, and it's not quite growing back in yet from all my surgeries and the medication they had me on, and I just feel like I've been put through a grinder. And I'm like, I'm going to pull it back because it looks crazy otherwise. And I'm like, yeah, no, I can't do that anymore.
I was looking at a video from a couple of years ago when I lost about 50% of my hair after I'd been in the hospital. And it was so paper thin. My hair has never been that thin. And I mean, oh my gosh, I was terrified. I was like, I'm going to end up having to get a wig, or I don't wear hats. And I'm like, I'll have to be a hat person because my hair's almost gone.
I told my daughter, I said, it's going to get to the point where I'm just going to shave it. And she said, oh my God, don't do that. And I said, it's almost to that point now. I mean, it's so thin. Anyway.
And I want to put it back out there for any of you listening and watching. If you are interested in publishing your own books and stories or whatever, I will be happy to walk you through the process. More than happy. I think everyone deserves to have a right to that kind of knowledge. And look, I learned all the mistakes the hard way. I learned what not to do like 100 times.
Yeah, she's a wealth of knowledge. Cindy Pinkham, you should think about that. What she's been doing for the past few years is she's been traveling to places, but when she gets there, she goes to the odd places,
Yeah.
Different. I just think that would be a great thing for her to put together. Hi, Jess.
And that would be a fabulous book to put together.
Oh, wow. Okay, I don't really care. I mean, I never have wore makeup, and I was actually thinking about that and laughing about it the other day, but
what are you talking about makeup for? Did somebody say something?
No, she was talking about, and I'm just looking how pale I am compared to
Oh,
you, and you don't feel good. But
well,
I'm like,
one, I am, it's weird because my office is not dark, but the distance I am from let's see, like when I walk over to the window, I look a lot paler, trust me.
you're still darker than I am. Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. Okay.
so yeah, 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 yeah.
All right. Hi, Chloe. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, falling off a chair, that'd be funny. Sean should write a book about his hair. Sean, who I absolutely adore, he actually went in and got transplants put in his head. I think it's been
Ooh.
2 years now. Oh yeah, he couldn't even lay down in the bed. He had to sleep in a
Yeah,
chair.
I've known people who have had it before, and they
And it
said your
worked.
head is sensitive forever after that. Real
It
sensitive.
worked. He's doing actually. He's on a TV series now over in the UK. He's a
But
kind
his
of
head will
cop.
always be tender.
I don't
You,
know. My head's tender now.
you
So
get what
okay,
you get. Like
okay.
my grandson Gabriel will say, "You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit, Grandma." I'm
Okay.
like, "I'm gonna throw a fit for you, little boy."
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so I have an interesting topic. I have talked a little bit about this with you a couple weeks back, not on the show, but a couple weeks back. And for those of you that are here, a lot of people have been inboxing me, messaging me, emailing me about just some of the weird changes that are occurring within their life. People that have,
Loads of
yeah,
crazy, cuckoo, caca, crazy stuff
yeah.
going on.
Well, I told Holly, and this was a few weeks ago, that I've been having these waking visions, or when I shut my eyes, I see a full movie playing. And I mean, and it's like I could sit up and I'm doing this, and it's like, yeah, you're awake, but I'm seeing things and I'm hearing them. And even when I open my eyes, the whole area that I'm in, it's like watching a movie at a drive-in, right? Where it's a huge screen. And I was like, look,
Welcome to my world. That's the way I've always had it. Always
well,
been. That's
it kind
what
of
it looks
freaks me
like for me.
out a little bit. 2 nights ago, I woke up and I was like looking and I'm thinking, did I take something? Did I do something? Am I
Right.
awake? And there was a little boy and he was wanting me to watch his movie. So it was kind of about his life and he's passed over. And I was like, okay. And I thought about it. No, it was last night. Yeah, it was last night. What I've correlated with it, and I don't know if any of y'all, Jess, I don't know if this happens to you or not. Kay, I know you're just starting to do this kind of stuff fully. But what I correlated it with was whenever I have clients during the day and I read, or I do the reads on Tuesday. I did almost an hour and a half yesterday. That's when I wake up at night, and that's when I'm having the vision. So I don't know if it's because of the work, like it's intense that day,
Right.
but it's crazy. I mean, like I'm telling you, it's really crazy because it's like I could hear him talking. Oh God, I got up and walked through the entire house. I thought I had a radio on.
Last night, just as I went to bed, I heard Michaela clear as day say, "Mom." And I said out loud, "What?" And then I lay there and I realized, oh, she ain't up here.
Either that or maybe she's dream walking. That could
I
be
told her
right.
about it and she said, "You're just going crazy, Mom." Going crazy. I am crazy.
Well, yeah, but it's a lot. See, yeah, yeah.
I mean, you really should take those photos and the stories behind your traveling and put it in a book. You don't know who else might out there be interested in that. And it's like a little time capsule for years and years to come. That'll be out there for someone to discover. I love that thought. I just
Oh, and
love it.
she's been a lot of really cool different places. I know I'll never be able to travel. I was laughing the other day because Cindy Kaza put up about for 2025. She's asking people, like, where would you like to go? Where do you want me to travel? Where do you want me to go? And then what she's going to do is put trips together so that people can go with her on these trips. And that's what I kind of look at Cindy Pinkham, what she's been doing, because it's like so cool what she's sharing. Okay, so let's see what Kay says here.
A baby's crying. That could be a particular animal. I think a fox can sound like a baby crying. Coyotes can sound like babies crying. There's another animal, and there's a bird that sounds like a baby crying. I can't think of what the other animal is.
Bobcats.
Bobcats, yeah. And there's something else. I can't think of what it is. A smaller animal. I can't think.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Jessica, you're probably right. Yeah, that's a good way. The junk DNA, yeah, that's a way to put it. But for me, I still think it's connecting with the people that I'm reading for, because it's really intense. And that's what it's kind of made me stop and say, okay, this date, and I put a little cross, like an X on it, say, okay, I had it happen this date. When did I? And that's what I've been seeing is the correlation to when I'm reading. So I don't know if it's because I'm just open because I feel safe in my home, so I'm not really closing stuff down. But I'd like
do a chakra meditation before bed, closing your chakras.
I don't know. It's
maybe get outside for a second before going to bed to ground a little bit before you go to bed. I bought some grounding sheets. Well, my husband bought them for me for my birthday, and I love those things.
There you go, Jess. You're 222. Yeah, I think you're 222. I'm 322.
It's 222 here.
Okay. What's this here? Could be. Never know.
Yeah, you never know.
I always found it fascinating with kids that have passed, and I actually sat last week. Nothing is ever for a coincidence, right? And last month, I was sitting down in the front room. I was bored, and I said, "Oh, I want to watch something different. I don't want to watch crime. I don't want to see a movie. I went on Prime, and House came up, right? And I said, man,
we've been watching House.
Yeah, like I clicked it on, and I'm like, I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I never saw the whole thing, so I started watching it, right? And I said to my friend Lynn the other morning, Mango's looking at himself in the black of the phone, talking to himself. I don't know if you can see him or not. Yeah, there he is.
Oh, we can hear him.
Yeah, he's looking at him. He's talking to his image in the phone. But it's been rekindling things that I went through when I was working at Children's Hospital up in the ICU, and it's making me kind of go back and reflect and realize certain things, and it's been very reflective. I feel like I'm being reset, and we talked a little bit about this, just about how we're all kind of off, and it's like a major reset, and it's like reviewing and letting stuff go, or remembering things that we need to remember for a reason.
Sleeping or something where there's no way to.
What is that?
Michaela was saying that she heard me yell for her, but there was no way it was really me yelling for her.
So who's in the house?
Well, when we go to sleep, our spirits are not sleeping. They're not taking a nap.
Maybe it's time to put the camera back on in the hallway. Like you did before. So yeah, what Kay Joyce said, her number is 333.
Today twice. Let me look that up, because today twice I got 888. I don't remember what 8s are.
Oh my God, this is so funny. Kay said, I dreamt Bear was throwing what looked like kitty litter or salt out in a paper sack onto the veranda with a pale blue ceiling. Okay, so I'll tell you, I don't know when you dreamt it, But yesterday I walked out to we have like a garbage can from the city that you could probably fit 3 or 4 dead people in. It's massive. And I did throw cat litter. It was in a blue bag. So it might have not gotten the pale blue ceiling, but the bag was blue. So that's pretty funny. Just what I need,
That's
right?
crazy. Yep.
Oh, that was last night. So yep. That was
Ooh. So I was just reading because twice today I saw the 888. It says when you see angel number 888 repeatedly, it's a sign that you're about to experience a significant and positive change in your life. Oh, and this is another thing. I had some crazy dreams last night. Listen, let me tell you. But in the middle of that, after I heard Michaela, then I had a dream about an ex that was really weird, strange. That just, and as you know, when I dream, I analyze as I'm dreaming. I already, my spirit is wide awake and I'm talking and figuring it out. And so then after that, between that dream and the next dream, I saw 111 and saw that I was going to sell 111 books. Now, I've already sold more than 111, not much more, but I've sold more than 111. So hopefully that's 111 in a month. Because when you go on Amazon Kindle, it'll show me every month what I've sold so far, and it just does it by the month.
oh, that's
Unless
cool.
you change, your view history.
But that's
And
cool.
so I'm like, yes, please let me sell 111 in a month. The most I've sold in a month might be 30. And that was early on when I first introduced them. It's a struggle, but it's just about keeping at it, putting it
Yeah.
out there,
Well,
keep putting it out.
and that's kind of what when I was reflecting back after watching House and thinking about things, and then seeing these kids that had died show up and showing me movie clips and everything. It was like you were there, and it was for purpose. Because I can tell you, when I was in my 30s and I was working at that, I was tired. Oh, we lost her. I didn't do it. I didn't touch
It
anything.
just switched us. It just absolutely switched us.
That's weird.
Do 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 do.
Um, but they said you had purpose there, and then I started thinking back, and what they were doing is they were each kid was stepping forward and showing me all the way to the babies, the families, and this and that. And at this time, it was tough. It was hard. I had my own child. She was under 1 year old, and I was working afternoons so that I could be with her in the morning. My mom would watch her a few days, and then her dad would come and get her. And I just was tired, but they kept calling me up, and I was not clergy. I was not, when they call, what do you call them? They call up pastoral care or whatever. And I was not that. And I'd be leaving, and the midnight nurse would call me and say, "We need you up here." I'm like, "Oh, did I forget something, or what do you need?" And they go, "No, we have, Reverend so-and-so." Because what they did was they took people that were training to be in pastoral care, and they had to do like a month at Children's, a month at Harper, which was an adult hospital, Receiving, which was the birthing hospital. It was a huge campus, right? And I said, "Okay, what's the problem?" She says, "Well, she's on the floor in a corner on the floor in this particular baby's room, and she's crying." Okay, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. My hands are right here, so I don't know.
Mine are right here. I ain't touched nothing.
Somebody's playing. That's crazy.
Wow.
But they called me up, and it's like after midnight, it's like 12:30, and it's like, I don't want to go up. And they're like, no, we really need help getting her up off the floor. And I'm like, great. So at the time, I didn't think of it that way. And of course, I went up and I sat with her, and, we had talks, and God knows what I said. But it was all stuff like that I was seeing, and what watching House was kind of triggering in me. So
yeah.
It was kind of
and making you recall those moments.
It was cool because the kids were coming, and that's the videos that I was seeing. But I was like, I didn't understand why. And then I thought, well, yeah, you got to remember, and this is something I told somebody last week, I'm old. Okay. I mean, I am, right? Like compared to the mediums and people that are starting in their 30s, even their 40s that are doing what we do.
Oh,
You
I'm
know,
seeing people really young in their 20s starting to get on and really do it and get into it. I mean, it's really
I'm
going like
I'm
wildfire now.
old. I'm old. I had a
It's
guy,
it's trendy now to be us.
yeah, but
We're so trendy.
they wouldn't be, it wouldn't be trendy if they hadn't had us.
No,
Because
right. Because
we
back in
were
the
the
day, we
ones.
were the freaks, the weirdos, and the witches and the
Well,
voodoo people, and
we're still
oh,
crazy weird.
fear them. They're crazy. They're weird. They're devil worshippers. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, we went
Oh,
through all that. I lost friends because they were scared. They'd come up to me and say, "So do you know what I'm thinking?" And it's like, "No." You know, how does this happen? And when I was in high school, Wayne State University in their psych department were running like what the government used to do during the Cold Wars, where they put a bunch of people that had vision and could see things to find things psychically, which people don't believe is real, but they really did do that. And they were testing. And so I got tested. And once I got tested, it was part of my final paper for my senior year. Everybody knew.
right,
Not everybody knew before, but then everybody knew. And
right.
everybody talked to me. They thought I was a weirdo, thought I was crazy, thought I was spooky.
Yeah.
So, in a way, I'm happy that it's more open because I don't know about you. I'm a little older than you, but when I started being more aware of what I could do and what was happening, Rosemary Altea had a book come out that was called The Eagle and the Rose. Echo Bodine came out with her first book, and Raymond Moody came out with his first book. And he's the one that he's actually a doctor that has studied like past lives and death and dying, right? Those were the 3 books. 3 books, folks. That's all we
Right.
had. 3 books.
Right.
When I
Right.
got into my 40s, then we had Sandra Brown. We had
Yep.
what's his name? He had actual animal cards out, and then there was another guy that did an animal.
Oh yeah. What is that
book.
guy's name?
Yeah, the animals.
Cunningham.
Ted Andrews. Ted Andrews.
Ted Andrews, and then the Cunningham guy was his
Yeah,
first name.
yeah. He was actually, the Cunningham guy was actually married to the angel chick.
We are terrible with
Oh my
names.
God.
We are terrible.
Well, she actually was the one.
Maybe we need some lion's mane to help our memory.
She came in Hay House, and she was actually doing. She had an angel card deck and all that kind of stuff, and she was offering classes, which I always thought was really funny because she talked. And she's like left that. She says that's all devil's work now. She's a born again Christian. She made her,
Oh, Lord.
but
To each their own.
classes that were $500, Holly, for like a 2-hour class, and
Ridiculous.
she certified that you knew how to read angels. And I'm like,
Oh my God.
people, no.
I know who you're talking about. Doreen Virtue.
Doreen Virtue. Yep, that was her. And she's since like poofed it off, but she made her money. And you know, and again, people are like thinking you can be taught this on how to know what angels are, and that's not how it works. But they were paying her because there was nothing like it. There was nothing out there like it with divine energies at all.
Right.
So I was seeing people. Matter of fact, some of the people we knew were actually, I'm certified by Doreen Virtue. I know.
Oh my gosh. Whatever. You went to a course. You watched an online thing. You went to a course.
Online,
you paid a lot of money.
You
got a piece of paper. Whoop-de-doo.
They're taking money to read, and this is how they read. They pull a card, show you the card, grab the book, open it to the page, and
right.
And I'm like, you can't do that. That's
right.
not, and the people are like, hook, line, and sinker. And I absolutely adore the fact that people have more.
Oh, you don't want to do card readings on children. You don't want to do that because, one, you tell a child something and they take it at face value, word for word, what you say. And when we see visions, I'll give you just one of the best examples ever. My ex-father-in-law, when I was pregnant with Stacy and Tracy, toward the end, I would always ask him, how am I going into labor? Because I was so worried about it. Where am I going to be? What's going to happen? How, it was my
Right.
first child, and I was twins, and I was scared to death. He said, you're going to go into labor on the toilet. Well, what happened was, because he had the vision of the toilet. But what happened was, I went for one of my checkups. They were going to see if I was dilated because I was pretty much due, and they found protein in my urine. I had preeclampsia, and so they put me in and induced me. So, no, I didn't go into labor on the toilet, but it was linked together. So we are shown symbols of things that don't exactly translate exactly every time.
And well, here's the thing for you too, Chloe. I do adults. I've worked with teens that are 16 and over that have the ability and they need help understanding how to hone it. I have worked with children who have seen spirit and their parents don't know what to do.
Right, like my grandsons.
Yeah. So I sit with them and the parent, and we let the children tell us, and then we talk to them so they have a different way of understanding them. But
Right, right.
to do that, like Holly's saying, for children, they don't, number one, they don't need it.
No.
Number two, they already see stuff. So you don't want to encourage or discourage. You have to allow them.
And you don't want to cloud their own vision.
Yeah, right.
And it can cloud their own vision. You don't worry about what you see for them.
Well, the thing, like with the kids, now I probably, it was 3 years ago, I think, was the last child I helped. And it was a friend of mine got hold of me and says, my friend's freaking out. She doesn't know what to do. The child doesn't want to sleep in the room. The child was like 5. And I said, well, what's she seeing? She goes, well, she just keeps talking to people in the room. And she says, her mom says it's like becoming an issue. So we did it on Skype. Maybe been a little longer than 3 years, but the little girl was fine, and mom was just sitting behind her. And I said, well, what do you see? And I just asked her, and she just told me the story. And I said, well, who do you think who are you seeing? And she says, my grandma. And I said, that's all they needed. That's all they needed to know. I said, now don't encourage it, but don't discourage it. If she comes to you and says grandma's, and what grandma was playing tea set with her, and grandma sits with her on the bed to make sure she's safe when she goes to sleep, and this is what she's seeing. And her mother says, is she really seeing that? I go, yeah. I said, she's got too many details to be making it up. And her mom, or her grandmother, the child's grandmother, had passed 6 months prior. So, and that's what was going on this entire time. And apparently her mom would come over and do things with her. And then she had a heart attack and like passed, or a stroke, like really quick. And the child wasn't really mourning or saying, anything about, oh, I miss grandma or anything. It was just like, oh yeah, well, grandma's here. Like, yeah. And I said, well, is she here with us now? And because I had the camera on her, and she says, oh, she's waiting for, she wants to play, tea set, pretend to play tea. So yeah, you don't want to influence the kids. Little ones, you just let them be them. You don't discourage them, don't encourage them, because if they say, oh, you got ghosts chasing you, and it's not what it is. Entertainment world has helped form a lot of people's opinions of what spirit is and what they do, and it really isn't true. It's like dark spirits. People go, oh, I see shadow people all the time. Well, hello,
shadow people are not dangerous. I mean, I don't know any that have been really terrible or anything.
I mean, spirit can be negative. I'm not saying
it can,
but that's not, like,
and they can be mischievous.
I don't even care. I'm going to just say it out loud. Zach Bagans, every time he walks into a house, every season, he's in the house 10, 15 seconds, and he's being attacked and he's being possessed. No, that's not how this stuff works. And I don't like the fact that
Have you seen that show Ghosts? It's on Paramount.
No, they just put the one on the UK is also the UK one
The
is on.
UK one is terrible.
Oh, is it?
It's terrible. They have the cast is wrong. The cast is just wrong for the whole show. The US one is fabulous. They've got it cast perfectly. The script is great. But yeah, there was like recent on one of the recent ones, this guy was pretending to be able to talk to ghosts and see the ghosts, and they're all standing around like, no, no, no. And he's saying this one says this and this one's doing that, and they're all like, that one's not even in the room.
It's been one of those things because I watch usually at night to just chill, and I've got so much on the list that Taylor keep. Well, did you watch this, Mom? Did you watch that? Or she'll call me.
Traders is one of our newest favorites. Traders is amazing. It's so much fun. They have Traders UK, they have Traders Australia,
Yeah, I
they
know
have Traders
all
New
about
Zealand,
it.
Traders
I know,
Canada.
it's on my list. Taylor keeps telling me, "Oh, Mom, you gotta watch," and all her
You gotta watch
childhood
Traders.
daughters
It is
through her. Yeah.
fabulous. We are always glued to Traders. We're like, well, okay, what's happening next? Are they going to figure it out?
Yes, my son plays with my uncle Randy that passed before he was born. Before he was born, one day he started talking about Randy after making sure there were no new classmates and allowing him to talk more about Randy.
Okay,
knew.
now let's go back a moment too. To somebody said something about making a wish and then seeing the number 11. First of all, if you make a wish and you seek out the numbers, then the universe is going to show you what you want to see. Second of all, 11s, ones are always about paying attention to your thoughts at that time. You made a wish. You better make sure you were very specific in that wish. I tell people all the time, you say, I want a relationship. The universe is going to say, here you go. Here's a relationship.
Could be a
How do you
job
like it?
relationship. It could be a friend relationship. It could be a whack relationship.
It could be terrible. It could be horrible. It could be the worst. You got to want a long lasting, loving, balanced relationship. I want a job. Here you go. Here's a job. Doesn't mean it's going to be the right job for you. Doesn't mean it's going to be long lasting and bring you what you need. So you need to be specific about what you want. Vaguely specific. Is that a way to say it? Because you don't want to say, I want this particular job. Because if that particular job is not right for you, you don't want it. You want the job that fits you, that's going to exceed your financial
You
needs.
got to put it out, but you got to put it very specifically because you will get it if you haven't specified what kind of stuff. Yeah, it will. Now Jess is going back. She says she knew.
Damsel, we just watched that one as well. Sorry.
Okay. Anyway, Jess was saying that he was really seeing him, and she knew because she checked with the school where he was at. No Randy's. I will tell you, I 100% believe that 100% because my father passed. He knew I was pregnant, but he passed 7 months before I had Tay. And when Tay was like 3 and I was going to work and I was taking her to my mom's, she was in the back seat in the car seat and she was talking and I said, Taylor, who are you talking? Oh, Grandpa. And I'm like, what? Grandpa. He said, and then she told me a bunch of things that a 3-year-old would not know.
That's what Leo did when he was probably about 3 when he first moved in with us about my grandmother. When not going to bed, he's just like, do you know I have a great great grandmother? I said, yeah, I know. He said, and then he started talking about her. And I just made it like it was normal. It wasn't anything to be afraid of. That's what you want to do. You don't want them to fear it. You don't want them to feel like they're a freak or they're a weirdo.
Well, Taylor, when she was 6, so 3 years later, we had been building the house up here, the big house that I had on with the horses and all that stuff. We were building, but it wasn't ready for us to move in yet. So I was staying at my birth mom's house up here, and Taylor was there and my mom was there, right? So my father-in-law wound up having a massive stroke, and they had to airlift him from here downstate to a hospital. And she was really close. Taylor was really close to her grandpa. And we came home and it was touch and go, and he was down like 3 hours below us, so it wasn't like we could go up. I came up and I stayed there till the rest of the family got there, but that's because I was downstate. So we were sleeping, and I was sleeping in the same room with Tay, and all of a sudden Tay sat up and she goes, "Hi, Grandpa." And she started talking to my father-in-law. And I said, "Tay." She goes, "Oh, it's Grandpa. He just came to tell me he loved me and he'll see me later." Right after she said that, I looked at her, the phone rang. My father-in-law passed away. So,
Wow.
and they were so tied together. But I didn't make a big deal about it. Didn't make a big deal about it at all. And actually, her father's side of the family at the time, they're not quite as bad now, but they didn't even want to include Taylor in anything about her grandfather. And I said, "You can't do that. You have, she's close to him. They go out and hunt, go out in the woods. He taught her how to fish, and she caught fish, and yeah, she was only 5 and 6, but she went everywhere with Grandpa because we had moved up here so she could get closer to her grandparents here. My mom was with us, but it was a different side of the family. And they just didn't want her to do anything with it. And to me, that's wrong. Children should be taught about death. And it's just, I don't know. It's just, yeah. What's this?
Jessica says, my daughter has premonition dreams. Any suggestions about helping her nurture it? One, since she's 6 and maybe she can't write it out, but maybe you can write it out or you can record it, her dreams for her, so she can have that later to look up on. Because things don't always make sense when we have them, but they will eventually make sense to us. And having her understand that will be helpful.
Also, drawing.
Yeah.
It's a good idea to say, "Here, draw me what you see," especially when they're like 6 or 7. Although most 7 and 6-year-olds kind of have they're with it. They know what's going on. But drawing, and then, like I said, as they're doing that, have her explain it and just write it down. Or like you said, tape it. Our phones all have recorders on them, I think, for the most part, yeah. So that's what I would do. And I would tell her, unless it was a scary thing that she brought up, and, sometimes when...
Well, I always have the smudge, and the boys know that if they feel scared or worried about anything, they come up and they ask me, "Can I have the smudge?" And I'll say, "Yes." I'll light it for them and let them take off and smudge whatever they feel they want to smudge. And that gives them a sense of peace and protection.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of one of those things. Just you nurture it by not making a huge deal out of it, but paying attention to it and making them feel like what they're seeing or what they're saying or what they're dreaming is real. And in a way, no matter if it's like actually what we do or not, it's still a safe way to tell them, yeah, what happens with you is valid because it's their truth. So yeah, I would 100% let them just talk about it.
I use the Palo Santo wood more than anything because that's safer, for kids to handle, and they love it. They carry that little smudge stick around.
Yeah, that's funny. Now, this is interesting, Chloe. I'm adopted, okay? And I found, or actually she found me, my birth mother found me when I was 21. And I never knew my birth father, and I could care less. He's Native American, and he's Cherokee and French Canadian. But he left. He didn't even know what she had. She was like 19. They were in the rodeo together, actually, believe that or not. She rode barrels, and he rode the bull. So that's how they met, was they were traveling around doing this. And I still can see the grandparents that raised me. My mom and dad that raised me. That's who I see. That's who I connect with. So it's not necessarily because you're adopted, you wouldn't know. And depending on your story, and I don't know your story, but that's who my grandparents are. And I couldn't have asked for better grandparents or parents.
Well, because they're in your soul family. Y'all reincarnated together, and your real biological father, you know, perhaps he's not actually in your soul family, and that's why he's not a part of your life.
We do Florida. Never heard of that. Water cologne when we're cleaning. What does that mean?
No, is it salt water?
I'm scared to ask.
Yeah, it could be salt water. It's what came to
Okay.
mind for me.
Recently dreamed that a classmate asked to live with us, and then when it really happened a couple days later, she had everyone laugh, but she didn't because she was already yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I already knew.
Yeah, so you just got to be careful, and if it's something that the kids are, we need to protect our children because there are so many more of them. What they used to call them when I was in my 30s, I think they started calling them indigo kids.
Yeah.
I don't hear that term anymore, but that was when, like,
I still hear it from time to time, or the Rainbow Tribe and the Indigo Kids.
Yeah, I don't know. They oh, it's a New Orleans thing.
That's odd. Why would you call it Florida water cologne then? If you're in New Orleans,
I've never heard of that, so I don't know.
I'd call it Gator spray.
Oh my God, New Orleans. I have never ever had a desire to go to Salem, Massachusetts.
I totally do. I totally want to go there.
And New Orleans is the same thing. I have no desire to go there.
I don't know about New Orleans. I feel like that would be way overpowering.
That's exactly what I feel.
But Salem, just from the history and not necessarily the burning and the horrible stuff like that, but there's just another part of it that I think would be cool.
Yeah, New Orleans is, and I actually have friends that live down there. I just feel like
that's a oversensory thing for me.
Yeah,
no.
So much of their culture is based in witchcraft, voodoo, just all that things. Yeah, voodoo, and there's this white witches, black witch. I couldn't do that. It would be too much. Like when Katrina hit down there really bad, and everything was flooded, and all the cemeteries were flooded, and they literally, and I know it's disgusting to think about, but they literally had, because the way they have their crypts and the graves, they're not buried the same way they are like here in Michigan and probably like Tennessee. I mean, we still have a few of them in crypts, but the bodies all came up with the caskets. And it's like, oh, hell no, I don't want to be down there. That's like disembodied people floating around. And I just, no, and more no, not my thing.
Oh, I see.
Kay, were you there? You were there yesterday when I was reading, right? Somebody had asked me a question afterwards, sent me a question, and I said, I don't know. I said, you'll have to review the thing. And she said, oh, okay. I said, oh, I can do it because I could fast forward because I kind of knew what card, she told me what card she was looking for. And everyone I went through, for some reason, I kept doing this with my ears. And I don't normally do that. And I'm like looking, and I was thinking, my ear they were like the outside of them, like somebody would go up like with a feather. And I kept like, it felt like the birds in the back of my head. So that's going to be something I'm going to watch too, because I think maybe that's what I was getting tapped with. Gotta love it. You know what we should do?
That's sweet.
Let's do another show do our show next week and do some reads together. Okay.
We can do that. Hopefully my head will be more clear next week because, oh man.
If not, we won't, but we'll just see what happens. Because I think it would be kind of cool to get it to a different audience as well as what you already have, millions of people watching. Oh yeah. Oh, maybe. Yeah, okay. That's not good. Yeah, no, I don't. She got shingles, and I have people in my family. My mom used to get it, and that I've never had it. So I was just like through the whole thing. I'd even be discussing.
Knock on wood.
Reach up and grab my ear. No, I'm not going to get shingles. Okay, well, I love you.
Love you.
Thanks everybody for being here. Well, I'm honored for that, Chloe. I'm honored for that. You know that. And I'm honored for that. I told my friends the other day I've got more kids and grandkids coming out of the wall, and I says my daughter hasn't even had a child yet. I said, but all her friends and when I told her godmother, I told Taylor's godmother, I said, yeah, I've got like kids all over the place and grandkids, and she goes, that's kind of cool. And I said, yeah, I'm not mad about it, but I always laugh because that's the way my mom was.
Mhm.
Everybody could walk in the house with my mom. Didn't matter who they were, what culture they were from, how old they were, or how young they were. Everybody was allowed to just walk in the house. And that's the way my
Yeah.
parents were, and that's how they taught me. So I said it's a homage to my mom because she's the one that raised me and brought that all in.
Love you guys.
All right, guys, you take care, and we will see you next week. And Holly, get better, okay?
Yeah.
You're sick, and I don't want you handing it to me. I love you.
Later, Gator.